All right, hello and welcome to the campus of St. Augusta Prep. We're here at the Paul Devone Pool as Hermits Swimming and Ulma take on Vineland. We'll start with the 200 medley relay. I'm here alongside Ethan Montone and Jack Klotz. And Ethan, why don't you let us know who's swimming in this first heat?
In lane 5 for Vineland, we have Smith, Salter, Smith, and Mako. In lane 3 for Vineland, Archetto, Shaw, Jordan, and Smith. And in lane 7 for Vineland, Masuki, Brown, Frankakis, and Bermudes. And for Ulma, in lane 4, we have Rosser, Meyer, Teresa, and Monzo. In lane 6, we have Sandy, McGlinchey, Cook, Val. And in 8, we have Cummins, Bickett, Kern, and Rogers.
All right, so we start off with the medley relay. So each swimmer will swim one. Klotz, I'm never sure. Is it a discipline, one stroke? What would you call the difference in between?
It's 4 swimmers. Each swimmer will swim their own stroke in the relay. Starts out with backstroke, and that goes into breast, and now they're on butterfly, which is arguably the hardest stroke.
Butterfly is the most difficult?
Oh, yeah, I would say. It's really intense.
It does seem like a lot of that extra movement as you bring your shoulders and arms all the way out of the water.
Yeah.
It looks like Vineland has an early lead. The score for relays goes 8 points for first, 4 for second, 2 for third.
Very tight between lane 6 and lane 5.
Yeah, it looks like Vineland's got third locked up, so it's the fight for first and second. So like Vineland takes first in lane 5. Ulma will take second in lane 2. And Vineland takes third in lane 3. So it should be 10-4 in favor of Vineland.
And next up, we have the men's 200-meter relay. Ethan, could you tell us who's swimming in this event?
All right, for the men's 200-meter relay, for Vineland, we have Drew, Evan, Nick, Cashin, Nathan, Robbie, Nathan, and Colin in lane 3. And in lane 7, we have Gonzalez, Chang, Luciano, and Bueno. For prep, in lane 6, we have Frazzetti, Cummins, Alvarez, and Ziller. In lane 4 for prep, we have Jenkins, Stanker, Clay, Mitchell. And in lane 8, we have Schiller, Cockerham, Lapsey, and Nagel.
So you never want to say you're going to win before it actually happens, but Hermits should have a big advantage in this meet. It'd be tough for Vineland to knock them off. And Hermits have been one of the best teams in South Jersey and New Jersey for the past, you could argue, 20 years. And even though Mainland has had their little run a few years ago, Vineland really hasn't been able to come close to that for the Hermits. Catching the Hermits. At least that I can remember. So, and I feel like swimming's a harder one to pull an upset than, say, soccer. You know what I mean? You just play the ball, throw 10 men behind the ball, hope their finishing isn't good, and your goalie plays well. Swimming, not much you can do to slow the other guy down. You just got to swim as fast as you can.
The Hermits will have a huge lead for first and second place going to the last leg of this race here.
So you still want to finish as fast as you can, because the way they do playoff seeding is power points, which like the faster you swim, the more points you get. They have some calculation, they do that. Now you're probably not going to power point this meet anyway. This looks like they're wrapping up to the end. So the Hermits will take first in lane 6, but and second and 4. But you want to swim as fast as you can, but they take your top 3 meets of power points. So like the 3 meets that you swim the fastest, and between the Salesiana meet, the EHT meet, even Kingsway was good for the Hermits, and they got Cherry Hill on Friday. Those will probably be the 3 fastest meets. So even if you're swimming fast here, it's like you're racing against someone fast. You're always going to go a little faster when the guy next to you is pushing you. So Friday's probably going to be that last power-pointed meet for the Hermits this year.
We're up in the 200-yard free. For Vineland in lane 5 is Tiv. Vineland in lane 3 is Salter. And for Vineland in lane 7 is Figueroa. And for Oma, for the 200 free, for Oma in lane 4 is Trusty. And Oma for lane 6 is Val. And in lane 8 is Hudson.
Well, the 200-yard free is a difficult race because it's not a full-on sprint. You still want to aim to go fast, but it's more of an endurance race. So it's really who can go the fastest, but for the longest amount of time. And your muscles really get tired towards like the last 50 yards of the race.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't ever swim, but I ran track, and I feel like I could equate that to the 400, where it's like, when you're running track at 1600, you pace yourself and then go fast at this point, slower at this point, faster at this point, which I'm sure is like the 500 free here. But the 400 in track, at least when I ran it, it was a pain in the neck because you couldn't pace yourself. It was a full-on sprint for about as long as you could full-on sprint. And that sounds like what it is here. You were saying, you got to almost sprint the whole time. You can't really pace yourself at certain points like the 500 you might.
Looks like currently lane 6, Alma, has first place, and lane 8 for Alma has second place, with Vineland trailing in the 3rd and 4th place spots. Alma will take first and second place, with Vineland following up with 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
So I'm going to go in first, second. They were down 10-4 in that first race, but that's going to be a lot of points for them right there. Well, they did get 6, so they're going to get 10 points there. And I think it's an even 16, so it should be 6 points, for Vineland. So they closed that gap from 6-point lead to not just a 2-point. I mean, 6-point deficit to not just a 2-point deficit. Yeah, you figure the way the points go, you get 16 points in all the individual races. So if you can get 8, you're not losing any ground. So that means if you win, you get that 6-point first place finish. All you got to do is finish 4th as the next one, and you're guaranteed points. Now, if you finish 5th, you're not losing as much, but you can, that first place is pretty valuable.
Yeah.
But in a tight meet, which I'm not sure depends. We'll see how it shakes out today. I'm not quite sure about strength of the girls' teams, but in a close meet, even those points at the end of the pool, where you get 0 points for 6th or 1 point for 5th. If you win 85 or 86, 84, that's the difference in the meet. A couple years, the Hermits lost 86-84 to Seton Hall in the playoffs, and that's every single lane matters. Scoring, the race is the one, so you get 170 points in a whole meet. So your race is to 85, and you guarantee yourself a tie, 86, and you get a win. But we're going to head to the 200 free for the boys. Ethan, if you want to give us the names there.
Also 200 free for the boys. For Vineland, we have Giordino, Profera, and Mercade. And up for prep in lane 6, we have Frazzetti. In lane 4, we have Jenkins. And in lane 8, we have Sinowski.
Almost swimming 6-0 in the year. They defeated Egg Harbor most recently, 95-75. Girls swimming, Vineland is 6-2. Got some good wins, but they lost to Ocean City and lost to Egg Harbor, both teams that Alma beat. So I put Alma as the favorites in this one, even as a very early deficit of 2 points. And then the boys, Vineland boys got a good record, 6-2 also, but they didn't have particularly close losses to Egg Harbor and Ocean City, and the Hermits were able to beat both of those teams by a decent amount. So you expect the Hermits to win this. You expect Alma to win it probably, but that might be a little tighter. But the Hermits kind of looking forward to Friday's match versus Cherry Hill East, which would be the number 3 versus number 2 teams in the state. And by the end of the year, could very well, if you swim fast enough, would determine the number 1 team at the end of the year.
We're closing in on the last 25 yards of this race. Vineland in lane 5 seems to have taken the lead after a pretty close race. Looks like Frank Frazzetti in lane 6 will secure 2nd place for the prep. Looks like Billy Jenkins and Carter Sinovinsky in lane 4 and 8 are going to secure a 3rd and a 4th.
Yeah, so it's one of those where, Hermits are probably going to win. They probably rotate in some guys that maybe don't get a ton of time. Because, the record holder, and obviously it's juggling the lineup. Like, you have Anthony Mortalite is the record holder for the Hermits, who swam it in 1 minute, 39.38 seconds. The finisher there was 1:52. So, but also maybe you want to use Mortalite in different events later down the line because you only get 4 and you don't want them to be too tired. But you could see maybe the Hermits are kind of like making sure they're not going all out today when they get the big meet Friday, if they can get away with it, just based off of how quickly they finished there, even though Vineland took 1st place.
Next up, we have the 200-meter IM, opposed to the 500-yard freestyle. The 400-yard IM is, 200-yard IM. Each swimmer swims 50 yards of all the 4 strokes. So you have to be pretty even in each of the 4 strokes to do well in this race.
Yeah, it's always interesting in the medleys because, say I'm faster than you at the breaststroke or the backstroke they start out with, right?
Yeah.
If I'm faster than you at that, how big of a lead can I build if you're faster in the butterfly? You know what I mean? So it's always interesting to see how those kind of change. But you're right, you got to be pretty even, pretty good at all of them in order to compete in the medley.
And in this event, the 3rd stroke they do, breaststroke, the 50-yard breaststroke going into the closing lap of the 50-yard free. is arguably the most important lap of the race because you're really trying to set yourself up for success in that last 50-yard sprint in the freestyle.
No, that's a great point, Jack, because you figure when you watch the 50 free, which is next, everybody's so close. It's such a short amount of time that everybody's so close. So you're right. You're probably not making up a ton of time in that free. So, yeah, you said the butterfly was right before that?
Breaststroke.
Breaststroke, yeah, that's a great point because that's going to be the last chance where you might be able to make up a solid chunk if everybody's, pretty similar in just a 50 free.
Yeah, and the first 2 laps, butterfly and backstroke, are really will make the race really close because you might be better at butterfly than your opponent, but if you're not as good as back, they'll be able to catch right back up to you.
Yeah. So we'll head over to Ethan, and will give us the swimmers for the girls' race right here.
For Vineland in lane 5 is Masuki, and Vineland for lane 3 is Bueno, and for Vineland in lane 7 is Salter. And we head over to Oma. In lane 4 is Dugan, in lane 6 is Cook, and in lane 8 is Bickett.
Looks like lane 6 for Alma and lane 5 for Vineland. They're very tight right now. They're almost neck and neck going into this breaststroke. Vineland taking a slight lead going into the turn.
All right, lanes 5 and 6 are building the lead. Actually, you look all the way at the top of your screen. Lane 8 is keeping pretty tight. She might put herself in position to try and take one of those top 2 spots, but more likely than not, Olma's got 2 of the top 3 spots locked up. The question is, are they going to be first and third, second and third? See how it shakes out.
These 2 are so close coming into this final freestyle. This is what makes this the most important lap right here. Looks like lane 5 Vineland will get the edge on the turn.
Yeah, sometimes from our vantage point, when they get to the far end of the pool, it's kind of tough to see the distances, but now that they're coming back a little closer, Vineland's pulled maybe a half a body length ahead for that first place spot so far.
Vineland will take the first place spot in lane 5 with Alma coming in second and third, and lane 6 and lane 8.
So you watch, this is a pretty close race here for that last point, but I mean those last couple points matter. So now that Alma goes, so they get second, third, and fifth. So they got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they got 8. So they should split this event right here. But you saw how those, the race for 4th place was pretty close. If Alma was able to get 4th place, all of a sudden they're picking up 2 points, and we have a tie game. But instead, Vineland's able to hold on, and Alma's depth kind of saved them for not winning the event. And I believe they should both get 8 points there. We'll wait till my math is not always correct. That's why I don't teach it. But I believe each team should get 2, and it should get 8, and Vineland will keep a 2-point lead. Yep. So they put it up on the scoreboard there.
Score's kind of closing in as the races go by.
Yeah, and it's always what events are you good at? It's kind of like a guessing game, not a guessing game, but like a strategy game sometimes. Who you put where? What are you trying to win? Because you might build a big lead, but if you're really good at the back and the breast right before that final relay, you can make up a lot of points really fast.
All right, up for the men's 200-yard IM. In lane 5 for Vineland is Nick Maniero. In lane 3 for Vineland is Martin. And in lane 7 for Vineland is Drew Maniero. And up for prep in this event, in lane 6 is Alex Morrison. In lane 4 is Owen Marley. And in lane 8 is Anthony Tran.
Again, we have a very close race between lane 5 and lane 6 here. Going into breaststroke, lane 6 is Alex Morrison. Looks like he'll have a major advantage in this breaststroke right here.
He's definitely increased the lead on lane 5.
Now we really have to look at the race between lanes 4 and 5 here, because if the prep can secure a first and second place, that would be huge.
It looks like Morrison for the Hermits has gained a pretty healthy lead. Lanes 8 and 7 have started to come close, and it's still close between lanes 5 and 4. Looks like Vineland's taking the lead over the Hermits in lane 5. Lane 4 finishes just behind.
And it will be a race to the finish between lanes 7 and 8, and it looks like Vineland gets there before Anthony Tramp. Next in the lineup, we have 50-yard freestyle. This is by far the fastest event, as the swimmers only will take 2 laps up and back, and that's an entire race. So it's really just full-on, fastest as you can go. Should be a really tight race.
We're waiting to see the.
Sorry, guys, had to hop out for a second.
Prep goes up 10 points. Vineland up 6. Prep wins that race.
31-15, 22. Actually, I'm going to be right back. Looks like our second camera over by the start.
For the 50-yard free for Vineland, we have Elliott in lane 5.
One of the biggest keys to this event is the turn at the end of the pool. This can really determine.
For the men's, for Elma, sorry, we have in lane 4 Rogers, and lane 6 Sandy, and in lane 8 B Leonardo.
What were you saying, Jack?
One of the major factors in winning this event is the turn at the end of the pool, because if you have a good turn or not, that can really determine you just getting ahead of your opponent, and that slight edge is what wins the 50-yard.
Yeah, such a short race, it can make or break you. I apologize for not shooting down to the end of the pool with the finish, but it looked like our camera disconnected, and we will fix that as we go to commercial after the 50 free for the boys. I figured it doesn't make quite sense to run over there and try and fiddle with it now, but what do we get? Olma finished in 1st, 3rd, and 6th. So they should get 9 points there as Vineland gets 7. So I believe we will have a tie race once they update the score.
Oh, correction, the prep got first in that race, actually.
All right, since this is such a short race, why don't we get a jump start on letting us know who's in the pool for the Hermits, Ethan?
All right, for the Hermits in the 50-yard free, in lane 6 is Newman, in lane 4 is Gatesman, and in lane 8 is Mazza. And over for Vineland in lane 5 is Hampton, in lane 3 is Pantalone, and in lane 7 is DeVito.
what the holdup here is. Oh, there we go.
Lane 6 of Prep and Lane 8 will take an early lead coming into this turn.
They are tight. I mean, Lane 8, though, looks like they pull it out. Oh, Hermits go 1, 2, 3. Lane 8 first, Lane 4 second, and Lane 6 third. So be a lot of points for the Hermits there. It should be 13 points, so the Hermits should go up to 44. And then it should just be 3 for Vineland, which will go to 18. So as they hit the 50 break, we have almost senior night tonight. So they get a little presentation as they do the 5-minute break, and we will be right back after this commercial break.
And welcome back to swimming. During the break, the score was updated for women's. It is now tied 31-31. We entered the 100-yard fly, and for Vineland in lane 5 is Smith, in lane 3 is Figuera, and in lane 7 is Smith, and over for Olma in lane 4 is Kern, in lane 6 is McGlinchey, and in lane 8 is Cook.
Yeah, the 100-yard butterfly is pretty close to an all-out sprint. Butterfly takes a huge toll on your arms. Coming into the final lap here, lanes 6 and 5 are neck and neck.
Pretty close. Let's see who takes this one. Looks like lane 6 just took it. A 0.11 seconds. All right, we switched over to the men's 100-yard fly, where for Vineland in lane 5 is Hampton, in lane 3 is Luciano, and in lane 7 is Giuliani. For Hermits with a big lead, in lane 6 is Catania, in lane 4 is Clay, and in lane 6 is Dugan.
Mr. Burrell had to go fix a camera, so I'm filling in for him. Rocco Fanini, I'm a sophomore.
Looks like lane 6 has the lead so far.
Looks like we have the prep in first and second. Trying to possibly go 1, 2, 3. With lane 8 tied for third place.
Looks like Catania wins this one for prep. Finishing up.
Prep will take the first, second, and fifth spots. So they'll gain about 10 points from this.
Just an update for the Olma Vineland score. It is still tied up at 39-39.
And next up here we have the 100 freestyle. Double the distance of the 50-yard free, but you're still trying to sprint as fast as you can for as long as possible.
Up for Vineland, the 100-yard free is Mako, Saltor, and Elliott. And up for Oma in the 100-yard free will be Rogers, Hetzer, and DeLeonardo. This seems to be a pretty close race so far. Lanes 8, 7, 6, and 5 are really close.
Especially on the second 2 laps. Every breath, every turn, every stroke matters here. This will be the most important parts of the race here. The turn. Looks like Vineland comes out of the turn with the lead. Lane 6 of Olma trying to catch up. We're neck and neck. Finishes here. Oh, and Olma will take first place by half a second. Such a close match. Way to go for lane 6 to come back. Alma will claim a first, third, and a sixth, so they'll get 9 points from this. Now to the men's 100 free. Ethan, can you tell us who's in this event?
Yeah, just real quick. It looks like in that race, it was tied for 2 races, and it looks like Vineland's just taking the lead back by 2 little points. But for the 100-yard free for men's, for Vineland we have Pantalone, Maniero, and DeVito. And for the 100-yard free for Prep, in lane 6 we have Newman, in lane 4 we have Gatesman, and in lane 8 we have Johnson. Prep's been pretty dominant so far. Strong record. Vineland's pretty strong too.
Are they undefeated?
Yes, Prep is undefeated. Believe Vineland is 6-2. Lost to Ocean City and Egg Harbor, who Prep beat.
Is Alma undefeated too? Because they won states last year.
Yes, Alma is also 6-0. Little score update. Scoreboard has been fixed. Alma's actually winning by 2 points, 48-46.
Prep is gearing up and fine-tuning in all of their events and techniques for this upcoming meet on Friday against Cherry Hill, who is 3rd in the state.
I believe that's also the Prep senior night, right?
Yeah, I believe
It's their
so.
last match.
It'll be a good matchup too. I think definitely a close one.
I believe both teams are undefeated as well.
Yeah. Taking a little bit here, but the Prep 100-yard free should be starting shortly. Prep's held on to a pretty good lead for most of it.
Looks like they were having some issues with the score for the girls. It's back to Alma 46, Vineland 48.
Prep's lane 6 and 8 pull out to an early lead. Prep currently occupies 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, approaching the halfway point of this race. All 3 lanes of St. Augustine are really pulling ahead here. It looks like we are in a very good position to pull 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, which will grant us 13 points. And they do exactly that.
Very strong race from Prep here, looking to largen their lead against Vineland.
And next up, we have the 500 free. This will be the longest event. You really have to pace yourself. Don't want to go too fast.
Back up is Alma and Vineland. Just give you a quick little introduction, then update you on the Prep score. For the 500-yard free for Vineland, in lane 5 is Tiu, in lane 3 is Jones, and in lane 7 is Brown. Over for Alma in lane 4 is Cressy, in lane 6 is Val, and in lane 8 is Cummins. The score for the race that Prep just had has been updated. Prep takes another bigger lead, up 68-26. Very strong so far.
just to set how long this race is into perspective, the record is currently held by Mr. McCarthy with 4 minutes and 31 seconds for men's.
Jack, I know you used to swim. Can you explain what's can't really see it. I can cut to it. Can you explain what's going on the other side of the pool?
Oh yeah, so basically since this race is such a long distance, the swimmers at the end who are outside the water have counters that they put into the water for the swimmers to see, so that way they don't have to keep track of like how long they're going. They can just focus on swimming. They don't have to count in their head when they're finishing. So right as they're about to go into the turn, they'll show what number of laps they're on.
It looks like we see lane 6 in the lead, lane 8 in second. Pretty strong for Alma. Almost doing very well here on this race, looking to take over the lead. Lane 6 has a really big gap. Lane 8's just there. Really good for Alma.
Now all it is just a matter of holding their pace, not slowing down. Although it looks like they're forecasted to win, they almost have Lane 6 almost has a 20 full pool lead here. However, over in lanes 4 and lane 3, between Alma and Vineland, they are pretty close. So we'll see who can win there.
For Alma in lane 6, Val has been pretty dominant in this 500-yard free.
Yeah, so in these events, you might notice how some swimmers are like way more closer together, and others are like just farther apart. In swim, if there's 6 even lanes, usually the middle 2 lanes, so in this case it will be 6 and 5. Usually they're your best, like the best of the best swimmers in that event. So they're usually closer together. Same goes for lanes 7 and 8. They're usually your second best 2 swimmers. So, and same for 4th and 3rd. So those, between those 2 swimmers is usually going to be really competitive. As you can see, an example here is lane 3 and lane 4. They're really close together. Just for clarification, Alma in lane 6 has just lapped Vineland's 5 and 7. I believe we're approaching the last lap here. Oh, that was the air horn for the last lap. Here the swimmers typically try and push what's ever left in them to get the fastest time possible. Because although lane 6 didn't really have much of a challenge, you still want to be able to get the best time you can possibly get for qualifications and championships.
Almost lane 6 finishes in first. Very strong performance.
Looks like almost lane 8 will come in second.
Yeah, it looks like almost definitely trying to bring the score back. Has been very dominant in this race so far.
However,
First and second.
However, Vineland and Vineland in lane 3 still has the finish. So although Alma got first and second place, Vineland will claim the third, fourth, and most likely the 5th spot. And here comes in the last Alma swimmer. So lane 6, who got first, their time was 5 minutes and 18 seconds. That's just how long this event is.
Should be going up. Alma takes the lead by 2 points, 56 to 54. I think that first and second really just helped them out. And now the men's 500 free has started. For Vineland in lane 5 is Giordino, in lane 3 is Bueno, and in lane 7 is Mercado. And for prep, in lane 6 is Bogan, in lane 4 is Frankakis, and in lane 8 is Morley. And we saw in that last race that Alma took the lead. It's actually been a pretty close game. The whole still is. But almost starting to take the lead here. If that can continue. Looks like lane 5 is pretty strong right now. Lanes 5 and 6 seem to be the first and second. Like Jack explained, that's usually where you put your best swimmers. Now lane 5 for Vineland is definitely very dominant right now. Just like we've seen from lane 6 from Alma last race.
Who is that in lane 6 again for prep?
In prep in lane 6 is Bogan. You can see a pretty close matchup between lanes 8 and 7. They come down. Lane 6 is a little behind 5, but I think where the real close competitive is in lane 8 and 7. They're almost neck to neck throughout the whole race. Now this is a very long race, the longest in the competition.
Lanes 7 and 8 still staying head to head even this far into the race.
A very even matchup. Looks like lane 5 has a small lead on lane 6. Vineland's pretty strong. Vineland's lane 5 is pretty strong so far. As you can see coming down on the camera, lane 8 and 7 still neck to neck, extremely close. I think it'll come down to the wire. It looks like Prep's lane 8 is a tiny bit in the lead from where I am, but it's really just neck and neck. Anything could happen. Still just lane 8 and 7 neck and neck. Lane 6, lane 5. Lane 5 still dominant in this race, I believe. It's almost lapping some other lanes, so that's going to be good for Vineland to try to get back in this, but Prep's had such a dominant lead so far. Like explained earlier, it's out of 170, so if you get 86 points, you win. Prep's very close to that mark. Now on that flip we just saw from lanes 8 and 7, it looks like lane 7 actually had a tiny bit of a lead. Maybe lane 8 can bring that back, but it's still extremely close between them. Looks like lane 7's gained a bit of a lead on lane 8. That's the horn for the final lap. I believe that was for lane 5, who's been extremely strong in this, closing it out. There we go. See lane 5 on the final stretch here. Lane 7 has a tiny inch of a lead on lane 8. It's going to be very close. And there you go. Lane 5 for Vineland finishes first. 5 minutes. Lane 7 just a bit of a lead on lane 8. They're almost closing it out. I think they're on their final lap as well. Lane 6 just finished. Hermits will take second. Now you can see that lane 7 has gained a bit of a lead on lane 8. Now they were very close, neck and neck the whole race, but I think lane 7 is going to take third here. Lane 8 for the Prep is going to take fourth. And there you have it. Finishing out is lane 4 took fourth for Prep. No, I couldn't see very well, but lane 4 was Frankakis took fourth. Very long race. We finished that up. Next up, we'll be moving on to the 200-yard free relay. After that race, Prep up 8 points to 76. And Guess is up to 34. Vineland up to 34. So Prep still the lead, closing in on the final mark to get this win. But now we've moved on to almost 200-yard free relay for Vineland. In lane 5 is Salter, Elliott, and Figueroa. In lane 3 is Sherma, Carpolari, and Garcia. And in lane 7 for Vineland is Bermudes, Frankakis, Raygon, and 2. And for Oma, in lane 4 is La Gamba, also La Gamba, and Harrigo, and Mahan. In 6 is Sandy, DeLeonardo, Cook, and Hetzer. And in 8 is Teresa, Cressy, Rosser, and Dugan. Now, if you've seen these past few races, it was tied mostly, almost brought it back. They have a small lead. I think they're looking to increase that lead here. Very close between lanes 6 and 5. They just finished the next 5 in.
Looks like it's going to be close between lanes 5 and 6 with this freestyle anchor here.
Yeah.
Extremely close. They're neck and neck right now. And it does look like lane 6 will come out on top.
Yeah, lane 6 takes first. Lane 5 took second. So that was pretty close between Olma and Vineland. But for Vineland, lane 7 took third. Vineland's had pretty strong so far. Lane 8 for Olma took fourth. Lane 3 for Vineland took fifth. And lane 4 for Olma would take sixth. Pretty balanced. Looks like Olma just had the edge there. Pretty close scores for that race.
We lost Klotz.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm back. Pretty good one for Olma and Vineland. Looks like a big win there for Villagers.
Yeah, it looks like Olma will raise their lead another 2 points, 64-60. That'll be good for them.
A lot of close races so far today.
Yeah. Especially between the lanes like 7 and 8 or 5 and 6. You really see these matchups winding down to the end.
Yeah.
We're now to the 200-yard free for the men's. For Vineland in lane 5, you have DeVito, Pantalone, Hampton, and Gording. In lane 3, Gomez, Gonzalez, Chang, and Chang. And in lane 7, Maniero, Martin, Giuliani, and Mercado. Moving on for prep, lane 6, Spencer, Newman, Mazza, and Morrison. In lane 4, Johnson, Calderon, Carjaval, and Nagel. And in lane 8, Marshall, Ganella, Cuff, and Gallagher.
Yeah, Hermits pretty much have this one wrapped up.
Yeah.
76 points already. You only got to get to 86 to guarantee the win. And even if they just finish in last in the last 4 races, 6, 7, 8, 4, 5, 6, they're going to get enough to win the race.
Yeah.
For Olma, though, you look, these next 2 races are going to be like super important because they're short and they're kind of thrown in there in between a couple relays, but Olma's up 4, and if whoever can hold on to that lead can basically then stack their lineup in the last relay and go, these 8 points are going to win us the meet. Where if you're the other team, then you got to get 1-3. You know what I mean? We're almost just going, hey, if we get 1, we put our 4 best swimmers in there, it might be all right.
Yeah, Vineland for women started with an early lead. Only managed to bring it back and tie it for a few races, and they've now taken the lead. But for this race, it looks like Prep will take first in lane 6. Vineland was close behind, though. In lane 5, they took second.
Yeah, Hermits take 3, Vineland 4, Hermits 5. Like I said, these end-of-the-pool races don't matter too much for the Hermits. But you look at Olma, one time where you flipped from Olma getting 6th and Vineland getting 5th, or Olma getting 5th, Vineland getting 6th, you flip that, all of a sudden it's, 63, 61. You do that twice. It's right there. God forbid you flip a first place. It's a really tight race. Those 4 points is like razor thin margin.
Mm-hmm.
How come you didn't swim? Your cousins were good swimmers here?
I swam when I was younger, and then I tried swimming last year, but with my club volleyball schedule, it just didn't work out.
Looks like your cousin Matt Mahan's still on the record board twice.
Uh-huh.
Couple relays.
Yep.
that was a team that kind of broke a little bit of a drought for our state championships. We had won 5 out of 6 years. Should have been 6. They kind of disqualified us against CBA in a bad call in the 2006 final. But yeah, you look at the board, we ended up not winning from 09 to 17, but your cousin Matt was on that 17 team that broke CBA's streak.
Yeah. It looks like Prep closed that out with that race, getting to 86, which means they won. These last races aren't going to matter too much for Prep, but here and the 100 back for Vineland, we have Masuki, Cohen, and Mako, and for Oma, we have Kern, Cummins, and Sandy. So these races are going to matter a lot for Oma with a close score.
Yeah, you look at these top lanes. What is that? 8, 7, 6, 5. They're all pretty close. But looks like Vineland's got a 1-2 right now, but that's going to be really tight to see because if they go 1-2, Vineland's going to take the lead here.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Vineland did take first and second. Oma took third and fourth.
Oh, man, look how close that is between second and third. 1 minute, 4 seconds, .04 was second, and 1 minute, 4 seconds, and 4.29 seconds. So a little over 2/10 of a second kind of separated them. But that's huge because now, that's 10 points from the first spot that go to Vineland as opposed to 7. So let's see how it shakes out.
Yeah, Oma did get fourth and fifth, though, which should help them out a little bit.
Yeah,
put a gap between Vineland.
Yeah, that saves them the point there. Like I said, it'll be big, but I'll be interested to see how much that score. Oh, tied. 70-70.
It's back to tied up. Now, these last 2 races are going to matter a lot.
Yeah, but you got a point. Good point, Ethan. Ulma finishing not in 6th there. They did that. It would be 69 Ulma, 71 Vineland. So even those are coming up big in a tied race with only 2 to go.
Yeah. Entering the pool for the men's 100-yard back. For Vineland in lane 5, we have Maniero. In lane 3, Giuliani. And in lane 7, Lorano. And for Prep, in lane 6, we have Jenkins. In lane 4, Clay. And in lane 8, Dugan. So like we said, for Prep, this is kind of just closing it out. They already got the win, moving to 7-0. But
yeah, and like I said, today's not going to be a power-pointed meet. Like I don't think they're going to swim that fast, or at least as fast as they did against EHC Slesianum, and hopefully they're going to swim fast against Cherry Hill. Even if you lose that one in a tight one, you're going to swim fast, get those power points, hopefully wrap up the top seed. But if you look at the power points in non-public A South, I would be shocked if it wasn't CBA St. Augustine. So, does it quite matter whether you're 1 of the 2 seed? Probably not too much. I'd like to avoid Notre Dame because Notre Dame's definitely above the rest. I think it's like CBA St. Augustine and it's clear top level. Notre Dame kind of a little bit behind them, right behind them, and then everybody else. So you'd rather not face Notre Dame. Why risk it?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I would be shocked if the South Jersey final isn't CBA St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm. Like this finished up, Vineland did take first. Prep second, third, and fourth, and it looks like Vineland took 5th and 6th. Still strong from Prep.
Yeah, it's the same. Who knows who they're throwing in there? Like I said, I knew More Elite wasn't in the 200 free. I know Lapsley's not swimming today. A couple other guys line up. You can get some other guys in because the Hermits are a very deep program, and you can let a couple of your guys who get maybe 1 race or so a match or a meet. Get a few more here, and you're still going to be able to pull out the win. Yeah. So,
especially to save the energy for the stronger swimmers for Friday's matchup too.
Yeah, only 2 days. Now again, I'm not a swimmer. I don't know how much you need to, it's 2 days matter. But I'm sure, you only get 1 day off when you're going to be going all out against Cherry Hill. Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, entering the 100-yard breast for women's, it's still a close matchup, tied up at 70-70. But for Vineland in lane 5 is Salter, in lane 3 Brown, and in lane 7 is Smith. And for Oma in 4 is Di Leonardo, in 6 is McGlinchey, and in 8 is Bickett. So this race is going to be big for women's. Try to take the lead here.
Yeah, Vineland Ulma in first, but Vineland looks like they got 2, 3, maybe even 4. It's a tight one. You're going to want to get at least 8 points here, because if Ulma can get 8 points from Vineland, same thing. If you can get 8 points, that means you just got to win the relay next, and you're at 86. You know what I mean? You're 8 and 8, 16. So getting 8 points out of all your places here is going to be huge for Ulma. So they need to pick up 2 points. If they win this race, pick up 2 points somewhere else in those lanes, and they'll be all right.
Yeah. It looks like Ulma did take up first. Vineland second and third, though, and fourth. So, Ulma took first, but Vineland did take second, third, and fourth. So very strong from them.
Yeah, so you can probably update, but if I'm doing my math correct, if you get 16 per race, and Ulma got 6 plus 1 plus 0, that means I think Ulma will be at 77, and Vineland will be at 79. We'll wait till they. I mean, you can put it up even if you want on the scoreboard, but we'll wait till they officially do on the scoreboard in the pool. But that's huge for Vineland because, like I said, now Vineland just has to win. If they get first place, they win. If Ulma gets first place, they'll get 8. They still need to come in third. So Vineland can either win it, just first place outright, or they can get second and third, and they still win the entire match.
Mm-hmm. Looks like you were right. Vineland did take a 2-point lead. So after keeping it close, keeping it tied, losing their lead by, but they've taken it back with one event to go for women's. But entering the men's 100 breast, for Vineland we have Profera, Chaptala, and Chang. And for prep, we're going to have Sinowski, Fox, and Schiller.
Who'd you say was in lane 6 for us, Ethan?
In lane 6 for prep is... Oh, sorry, it's the Ulma. In lane 6 for prep is Sinowski.
Yeah, Carter's doing real well here. Like I said, I don't know if he's always been the top breaststroke for the Hermits, but he's a couple body lengths in front of everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he will take first.
So we come up to the 400 free relay. Everybody does 100, up, back, up, back. Ulma needs to go first, third to win this. Obviously, first, second was even better, but that's pretty tough to do. But Ulma needs to go first, third to win it or better. Vineland just needs to win it, or they can take second and third. And actually, Vineland goes second and third. They get 6 points. We would end up in a tie race.
Mm-hmm. Prep has passed 100 in that race, 104 to 52. Now starting the last event, the 400-yard free relay for Vineland in lane 5. You have Smith, Masuki, Elliott, and Mako. In lane 3, you have Jones, Morales, Rousseau, and Giannette. And in 7, you have Figueroa, Salter, Smith, and Salter. For Ulma, in lane 4, you have Mahan, Hargrave, Lagamba, and Meyer. In lane 6, you have Val, De Leonardo, Hetzer, and McGlinchey. And in lane 8, you have Cummins, Rogers, Kresge, and Bickett. So Ulma's going to have to look strong here, take this win.
Yeah, so now that I corrected my math or looked at it, if Vineland wins this heat, they come in first, they win the meet. If Ulma comes in first and Vineland does second and third, then they tie at 85. And if Alma goes first and picks up either second or third, they're going to win the match or the meet themselves. So
I do believe lane 6 for Alma is in first, but in lane 5 for Vineland's really close behind.
yeah, good start. You know what I mean? Like it's a relay. You got 4 people. You got a lot of race to go, but being about half a body length up, 3/4 of a body length up for Alma is all you can ask for to start this race.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an especially important race for Alma, being senior night, with the deciding match being decided by a lot of the seniors swimming.
Yeah, and not only that, but like Alma, I don't know, like they won state championship last year, but they lost to Mainland, so I don't know if they've ever really won the Cal, or at least have they won the Cal recently. And they beat Mainland this year for the first time ever. They beat EHT in a close one. Does this put them into a tie scenario? I don't know what the tiebreakers are, all that stuff, but Alma wants to win this to clinch the Cape Atlantic League. So yeah, in addition to senior night and all that stuff, you're right. This is a really big meet that I'm sure Alma wants to pull out.
Yeah, good for Alma. Lane 6 still looks to be in first. Lane 5 still kind of close behind for Vineland. Lanes 8 and 7 are almost neck and neck though, which could be the decider if Alma was to get first and third instead of first and fourth. But it looks like Vineland in lane 7 is kind of taking a lead on lane 8.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So if Alma gets, right now it's Alma first, Vineland second, Vineland third. So even if Alma gets this, that it could end up in a tie. If Alma in the very top of your screen in lane 8 is able to come back and win that, then all of a sudden Alma could win the meet. But yeah, that'll be the thing to watch, especially if Alma's able to get a little further ahead in the center lanes.
It does look like lane 7 for Vineland has taken a pretty healthy lead on lane 8 though, but that could turn around. It also looks like lane 6 for Alma is also taking a pretty healthy lead on lane 5. So.
As dramatic as this is, 2-point game going into the last race of the meet, turning into a little bit anticlimactic just because Alma's got a pretty big lead between first and second, and Vineland's got a pretty big lead between third and fourth.
Yeah. Looks like Alma did finish first, which is very good for them. Vineland takes second, but it looks like Vineland in lane 7 is going to take third.
Yeah, the anchor for Alma doing a good job trying to catch up, but she just was given too much of a hole to dig herself out of by the time she hopped in the pool.
Yeah. Vineland will take second and third, which I think gives them the win.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but it's 8-4-2, so Alma gets 8, they go up to 85, and then 4 and 2 for Vineland, 6, and they go up to 85, so it should be 85-85 tie game. I think that just goes down as a tie. This is actually the first time I've really seen a tie. I think they just go in the record books as a tie. If you're in the playoffs, I think they PowerPoint that meet. Or it used to be, they've changed a few times. But I think it used to be whoever had the higher points, whoever the higher seed just went through, like they won the tiebreaker. Unless it was a state final, then they PowerPointed that meet. They took the time to plug in all the numbers of that formula and stuff like that. But here, I think they just list it as a tie and kind of move on.
Yeah, we're waiting to see the score update here. Definitely a close match. Very entertaining. Certain lanes extremely close. We're just waiting to see how this finished out here. Waiting for the score to update. Yeah, looks like Alma shoots up to 85, and Vineland shoots to 85, which is a tie. Yeah, haven't really seen a tie. I don't know what's going to go down here. Maybe it'll just go in the books as a tie, like Coach said, but that was a very good last race from Alma to bring those 2 points back to close that out. entering up for the 400 free relay. For Vineland here, we're going to have in lane 5, Smith, Masuki, Elliott, Mako. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant men's. It's my fault. For Vineland, we're going to have Giardino, Pantalone, DeVito, Maniero in lane 5. In lane 3, Gomez, Chang, and Harris. And in lane 7, Gonzalez, Martin, Bucco, and Mercade. And for prep, in lane 6 for this last event, you're going to have Spencer, Johnson, Bogan, Newman. In lane 4, Frankakis, Tramo, Potterman, and Sinowski. And in lane 8, Fox, Jagos, Schiller, and Lapsley.
And while this race may seem insignificant because of the score gap, it does go into these swimmers' records, their times for these, so it's important to all of them how they do in this race. They're not just going to blow it off just because they're winning.
Yeah, you want to set your PR, or you want to qualify for some individuals, especially maybe some guys towards the end of the pool, because like I said, you can only swim in so many individuals.
Yeah.
Where if you're, in a 4x4 that can qualify, but maybe Mortalete's in that, but Mortalete wants to go in the 200 and the I'm making it up, but he wants to go in a couple other ones. Maybe this other relay can, qualify as, for an all-South Jersey thing or an all-state tournament.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you always want to do your best, but that's kind of the same thing with, wrestling and swimming. It's similar where it's you can – the way to not run up the score is to put your backups in, because you can't take it easy on somebody in wrestling.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Especially with the way they do criteria, and you don't want to lose. But the way you can, mitigate that is you put in some JV guys, or give them a chance to go in there.
Yeah.
But if you kind of look at these, I think I'd say that maybe I talked about it before, but you can kind of see the PowerPoints on the screen where we're at right now. Like I said, CBA I think is pretty much done. What they were going for. Let's go south. I don't think they have any more big meets because the cutoff's coming up soon, and at least on their calendar, it didn't really have too many more things on their schedule. And right now they're behind the Hermits by an average of 600 points, per meet, and now it's going to be way closer than that because their top PowerPointer race is 3,500. The Hermits is 36 something or whatever. But I think CBA's done, so I think that unless they throw something else, another match or two on the schedule and swim really fast, Hermits should have that number 1 seed locked up.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a couple more streams for everybody this week. Tomorrow we'll have hockey versus Del. So really, the next 2 streams are pretty big ones. But tomorrow is hockey, where Del Barton, number 2 team in the state, the Hermits, number 3. That's going to be huge because so far this year, it kind of seems like Bosco's been the number 1 team. I mean, they've been beaten, Princeton Day beat them. The Hermits beat Princeton Day the other day, but Bosco beat the Hermits twice. Bosco's been the number 1 team so far. Not that they're unbeatable, but Bosco's been number 1. But 2, 3, and 4 have been the Hermits, Del Barton, and CBA. Now, the Hermits beat CBA twice. CBA beat Del Barton. Del Barton beat St. Augustine. They all have to face, Hermits still have to face Delby, and Delby still has to face CBA again. But, a win versus Del Barton could at least lock you into the top 3 seeds, if not number 2. And the key in that is both in the Gordon and the state playoffs rankings, is if you're the 2 or 3, you're facing in a neutral site game in the semifinals anyway. So you don't have to face Bosco to the final, and you're in neutral site, so it doesn't matter whether you're 2 or 3. So a win tomorrow is going to be huge for the Hermits if they can pull it off. And then you got swimming, the big one on Friday. It's 2 versus 3. Hermits 2 in the state. They put Bridgewater Raritan number 1, but I think the Hermits will be able to jump them again with some good PowerPoint meets. And 3 is Cherry Hill, so that's going to be a huge race on Friday. That could end up, depending upon what happens with Bridgewater and Westfield and everything, who's the number 1 team in the state when it's all said and done. So a couple big matches coming up for you. looks like we finish out as the Hermits go first, fifth, and third. So they go first and third. That should add another 10 points onto the score, Ethan, if you want to add that on there. And it'll be 4 more points for Vineland, and that'll do it for us. So, Rocco, Ethan, thanks for doing it. Jack was the other announcer in here for a little bit. We juggled around a little bit, but thank you guys for doing it. Like I said, we got a couple exciting matches coming up over the next 2 days, so we hope you turn in. Thank you.